Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades and this is a review for the ES and NQ futures for October 18th. We're going to start off on the ES and then hop over to the NQ. So I started trading right around here. This is at 8 a.m. Central Time. And so starting off, we have this uptrend, break. Now when an uptrend gets a break, you can expect price to attempt a new high. Now, the context area is, we're at the overnight high. And so the bears want to fade down and push down to the overnight low because this acts as a range. The overnight high and overnight low levels are key levels. You can expect price to go up and down between them just like a range. And so the bears here want price to push on down and reach the low. However, the bulls want to make a new high for this uptrend right here. So this is a competition zone. It can be very iffy in areas like this. Now, we get this failed second entry, so let me just move this away here. So first entry long, second entry long, failure. Right here to the tick, it's a failed second entry. Now, what I don't like about it is that it's holding above the EMA. It's really just, you can tell that price is struggling to go either way here, because on our good reversal pattern, you would hold below the EMA and it would, actually manage to get through all of this support here. However, since it's holding back above, that means the bulls are coming in to make a new high for this uptrend. So the reversal pattern is not perfect, which means we can't be sure that it's going to work. The bulls are coming in to make a new high. The bears want price to reach down to here to the lows. However, we just can't take anything on either side of the market here. So what I had drawn here was a better failed second entry. So if price had set up like this, I'm just drawing this out here, then this would be much better for a short, because if price got well below the EMA, we'd have more room for two clear legs up. That still ends up below the EMA. And so then we'd be able to go short because it would have confluence with this uptrend here, because it would be break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, and then failure. So unfortunately, we don't get that here. It just pushes on down without us. So we get this downtrend, this leg right here, downtrend, break, first attempt lower, and then before we get a clear second attempt lower, price pushes past this swing. And so now, rather than, first attempt lower here and second attempt lower here, what you really have is just a two-legged break. So we can expect price to make two attempts down stemming from here, because this is all part of the same break. This leg pushed past this swing, which means it's a two-legged break at that point, not first attempt lower, second attempt lower. For price to, when a downtrend gets a break and you get your first attempt lower and you're expecting the second attempt lower, it's going to happen underneath that swing here. But since price pushed above, it is now a two-legged break, and we can expect two attempts from here. And so we have this uptrend forming here. We have this trend line forming. And so, 1, 2, 3 bounces right there. I do not want to enter short directly into that, especially into the EMA. So we just don't really get anything here. It did retest the overnight high, but again, you don't want to enter directly into this level right here. And one thing I want to address, in case anyone asks about this, is how come the overnight high level isn't up here? And it's because the overnight high levels are not necessarily about where the absolute high and low of the overnight is. So this is right at 8:25. This is basically just a couple minutes before the market opens here. And so this is just too close. I don't consider that to really be part of the overnight session, because we already had some some resistance right around here. After pushing back lower here, it retested that same area, and this looked like a breakout, okay? So that's why I don't have the overnight high up here. It found resistance here, broke out, and faded back in, just like a typical overnight level. So that's why it's right here. So anyway, also, when we retested there, that just confirms it, later on into the day. So anyway, we push on lower here. We get our first attempt lower, second attempt lower. Obviously, on a bigger picture, it's just one leg down, but, one level at a time. These are our two attempts at a new low. Price attempts to reverse, fails, pushes below the previous swing, and then we get another attempt to reverse, and it actually succeeds this time. And so we get this leg up. Price starts making that second leg up, and unfortunately there's not much room to get along here because you're right into the overnight high. What I'd like to see is a couple legs back here holding off of this trend line, because we have this swing here, drag it from there. If we could have got something here, then we could have continued with it long, but unfortunately it just doesn't happen. So nothing in this whole area here, unfortunately, but that's just part of trading. Sometimes you got to sit on your hands. And so we push on up. At this point, the bullish imbalance is extremely clear. A bullish imbalance is when you have an overnight range, or this obviously applies to regular ranges as well. Any range this applies to. So if price is holding towards the high side of a range or the upper half of a range, that's a bullish imbalance. We had our bounce right here. It could push on down to a new low. It could make a second leg, but we end up making a higher low here, and then another higher low. And then when we get this leg up here and we get, these attempts to push to a new low, it still can't get past halfway. It still can't get past this level here. So this is a clear bullish imbalance that's forming. You want to be careful of going short in a bullish imbalance. And of course, the other thing you have to consider is the overnight high. Even though we're making these higher lows, does not mean that you can just expect it to push past the overnight high. It's still a major key level for the day. So anyway, we push on up here, we break out of the overnight high, and then we get this first attempt to fade. Second attempt to fade, it obviously does fade back in here because it's closing back below. Gets choppy, but we get a perfect reaction to that measured move right here. So we have another swing that's pushing up, good bullish reaction. It gets choppy for a bit, but after it finally pushes up, we're closing on the high. This is a slight limit order trade just because from this swing here and this swing here, it's pretty clear that that's a double top. So I was not exactly wanting to push the target through that. So limit order I did feel was necessary here. And, great looking trade. We come off one side of this channel. We get 2 attempts to reach the other side. And that's the thing. Channels are basically just slanted ranges, because when price comes off of one side, you can expect price to reach the other side. Really, the only difference between a range and a trend is that a trend has a bias. In an uptrend, it obviously has an upward bias. That's why it's called an uptrend. But that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that you don't expect price to reach the lows after coming off the highs. You can expect the bears to come in. And so we already get our 2 attempts, perfect measured move reaction, retesting this dotted range right here. Great bullish bar closing on its high with room to those previous highs right there. So I really like this trade right here. Slight limit order after it ticks above that green bar, comes back to fill you, and then pushes higher. So anyway, now we're pushing on out. We're overshooting this trend here. Overshoots tend to lead to breaks. It got pretty choppy after the overshoot. What I'd like to see is 2 clear legs down, retesting the overnight high for a long to continue with this uptrend. Now, one thing I want to mention is after an overshoot, it's very common to get a reversal pattern. Excuse me, I'm very hoarse right now. And so even though we're in an uptrend, if we get a clear reversal pattern, a clear failed second entry that has room to the other side, we can still look to take a short. It just has to set up very well. So anyway, I'm going to hop over to the NQ now. Excuse me. So this is the overnight high. This is the overnight low, just like on the other chart. We have this uptrend, break, first attempt to a new high, second attempt, and then it's made the new high after the 2 attempts. We're at the overnight high level. Price attempts to reverse. We push on lower here and form a failed second entry. So first entry long, second entry long, failure. Now, I don't mean to get too ahead. I kind of just explained the big picture stuff right there. So I'm going to zoom back into here. So again, I started trading at 8 Central Time. This area right here, we have these couple legs up, which on a bigger picture is just one channel, so one trend. Uptrend, break, we can expect price to attempt a new high. We get that first attempt here, and then it fails, pushes to a new low, making it a 2-legged break, just like I was explaining on the other chart. Excuse me. So after that 2-legged break, obviously it gets very choppy here. We don't get a clear long entry. We could push up into a small failed second entry and get a long above the EMA, but it decides to just go sideways here and then very sharp push up to a new high. It already makes a new high on that first leg. Small attempt to reverse. The reversal failed and pushed into a second leg up, thus making the 2-legged move to a new high, which is very common to see. And so this is a perfect reversal area. The uptrend is played out with 2 pushes to a new high. We're at the overnight high. If we get a good reversal pattern, we can look to get short, and that's exactly what we get here. First entry long, second entry long, failure. Retesting the overnight high, good bearish reaction. We have room to this low right here, which is very clearly, forming right there. So everything about this is really great right here. So anyway, we push on lower here, 2 legs down. As soon as this measured move is met, price immediately starts reversing higher. Now, we are going into this trend here. We have these two tests off the top, which matches with these two tests on the bottom. And so we push on up here, we end up pushing straight on through there. However, even if we did somehow get a small entry right here, we would not want to enter long into that. So anyway, we push on up, make a new high. Now, when this pushes up right here, this is very clear. It's very clear to see the bullish imbalance at this point. The uptrend played out at a major reversal area, and after two clear attempts to reverse, price was unable to. It ends up just stalling right here. So this is a bullish imbalance. We have this trend line working up, 1, 2, 3 bounces right there. And so anyway, we just have to keep that in mind. Now, when price pushes out of the overnight high, if we get a decent push out with 2 legs back retesting it, we can look to take a long on a retest of the overnight high. As you can see, it doesn't happen here. It just fades back in. Now, when it fades back in, it's very common to get reversal patterns just like we had here. Now, one thing that we would have to consider is this uptrend. We would be able to take a short so long as we had room, but as you can see, nothing forms here. It just pushes on down, breaks through the trend line, and then makes this triple bottom right here. So price had found resistance at this previous swing right here, right at that measured move, and then price found resistance here again. So this is a triple bottom. If we push up here, we can look to get long on a failed second entry, holding above the EMA, clear push up, a couple legs back, great place for a long. But again, it just shoots to the other side with no entries on the way up. It just goes to the overnight high, break, push up to a new high. This uptrend is now played out. And so, again, another reversal area. We just have to consider this trend line right here. We obviously don't want to enter directly into that. The bullish imbalance is very clear at this point. However, this range right here has been consistent. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bounces, okay? And so we can still look to go short to reach the other side, and we can still look to go long when we reach the lows here. And so, anyway, if we had pushed into a clear failed second entry, that actually gets below the trend line right here, then we could get something. Let me just extend this really quick. If we get a couple legs back and then a red bar pushing below, below this trend line and the EMA, we could still look to get a short like that. But really what I'd like to see is just 2 legs back to the this low right here. That way we can just look for a long. Anyway, that would be the easiest just given this uptrend right here. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.